Just got a note on LinkedIn about my 9 years at Reinhardt Talent Agency in Philadelphia, and it brought back a story in my mind that I wanted to share. Um, it was in 2012 in April. I got an email from my agent saying that there was another agency looking for last minute for extras to be in an M. Night Shyamalan movie that that I fit, perfectly. And so I emailed over, sent, the agent some pictures, got a note that there was going to be a fitting. And so for me to actually get to go right into a fitting because this was urgent, um, you know, for a Screen Actors Guild role, even though I wasn't part of the union, they were going to do a waiver, was a pretty big deal. I mean, I'd never been in any movie of that sort of caliber, and so I had this great opportunity. And then the what happened was they changed the fitting date. They bumped it back by like a couple of days, and I couldn't go because that was the day I was supposed to fly to San Jose to interview for this ministry job, um, which I was already 100% sure that that's where God was leading me. And it was funny because as I went down the path of applying for that job, the stakes kept getting sort of raised. I mean, literally, it was kind of like I was getting tested to see how serious I was about doing this. For example, at first they were interviewing me to work in Philly, so that wasn't a huge sort of leap, But then after I had uh, flown to San Jose and came back, they called me up and they said, we really want to hire you, but it turns out there's a better role for you, we think, but you got to move to San Jose, for that. And I mean, I was getting ready to get married, literally in like a month's time, and Whitney and I, had prayed about this. At the time she was my fiance, and felt like there was enough confirmation that we were really supposed to be all in and just do this. And then so when they called and said, we want to hire you to move to San Jose, I went to Whitney. I remember she was getting her nails done, and I walked in the salon and I kind of said, well, I talked to them and they made me an offer. They want to hire me, but we got to move to San Jose. And not only do we have to move, we got to leave the day after we get back from our honeymoon. It's like immediate. Um, that was an example. I mean, as I was interviewing, my lease ran up, and so I moved out, put all my stuff in storage, was sleeping on my brother's couch, literally waiting to find out like what was going on. And it's kind of funny because you're like, all right, I feel like I'm supposed to do this. I'm discerning that in prayer, but there's so many details that are uncertain, and the stakes kept getting raised, and it was really a crazy time. And I was just reminded of that when I got that notice on LinkedIn today that you know um, sometimes you're going where God wants you to go, but it gets kind of rocky and you get almost tested to see how serious you are. And I feel like you know when you when you're listening and you get things from the Lord that you can cling to, that it really helps you to get through those tough decisions. Um, and I'm only sharing this because this has happened over and over again to me. Like even moving back to Pennsylvania, like there was a lot of things that you know confirmed early to us that this was a good move, but there were certainly things at the last minute that got thrown into the equation, such as a guy that I knew offering me a bunch of money to help fund, me starting something in Silicon Valley. A very close advisor of mine, a guy who I really trust, giving me not one but two phone calls, sort of warning me to look out for some things and really questioning, whether I should do this or not. Um, so again, this is like a reoccurring theme with these big moves and things that God's doing, that you're going to get the stakes kind of get raised at times, and you really have to just. I think God allows it and does it so that we ultimately there's no one else you can turn to except for Him, and just pray and trust, and ask Him to guide you and be that light unto your path, so that He is the one who's showing you the way to go. So, I hope this makes sense. I hope that some of you who are facing big moves, will realize that it's not always smooth sailing, and it kind of gets, you kind of get the stakes can get raised, as you make these big decisions, and that really it's, I think, designed to have you lean into God even more. So thanks, and hope that makes sense.